And now we move on to the review of
All right, guys, you guys have a great rest of the episode. I'm gonna get out of here.
All right, now Jamie, I know you really wanted to take this
Sonny,
one.
take it. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Tim, do you want to do the credits first? You always like to do that, and I'm not.
Yeah, absolutely. So X-O Manowar.
And say them correctly.
I will. I got you. We talked about this pre-Sunny even.
Yes, we did. We argued about this for like 15 minutes before Sunny got on.
So X-O Manowar #1, Valiant Comics. The writers are Jim Shooter and Steve Englehart. You will recognize that name from last week's review of the Avengers Defenders War. Layouts go to Barry Windsor Smith, and actual artwork inks go to Bob Layton with John Holdridge. Colors go to Jorge Gonzalez, and letters go to Jade. So, Sonny, go ahead and take it away with the review.
Okay, it starts with the review for X-O Manowar. So we start off with this naked man. His name is Arik, and he's being chased by these big bugs. All right, and in the beginning of the story, I admit I was kind of a little thrown off. Like, okay, it's got a naked guy running. He's narrating the story. It kind of seems like he's like Tarzan almost. But these big bugs, random bugs chasing him, and then he finds his suit. The suit helps him get away. He escapes these vicious bugs and makes his way to Earth. There he stays with, I believe, I don't know if they said actually if it was Mexico.
I think it was Venezuela.
But it was Venezuela. Okay.
Yeah, or Peru, one of the two.
Because there was some Spanish speaking, and
yeah,
I'm still learning Spanish, so I was able to translate actually some of the parts.
But yeah, I don't know Spanish, so I didn't look any of that up.
So some of it, basically, even you can kind of just see what's going on. It wasn't like anything like was specifically said, like, oh, you missed out on this. But I believe the woman's name is Maria, but Arik refers to her as Mara, M''RRHA. So, and then they're speaking. These people, they're looking out for him, and then eventually, he sees these spaceships. These people coming for them, and that's when the story gets pretty violent. They murder many people, and he finds Mura's head, and he's, oh, they came for me. And they even say, so he has this ring that also goes with the suit. Finds that his suit's been taken, but he still has that ring that they need. They want that ring, and then so he even takes another darker turn when he's around these, I'll say, ladies of the night. He's speaking to them. One is speaking like Spanish. One, I forgot what she was speaking.
You're American, eh?
Yes. Yes. I love the way they do the, when they're trying to do like
you
accents.
Wanna come and party?
Yes, but he turns the ladies down. I should mention that he is wearing clothes now. He's been wearing clothes since he landed. And then he meets this very feminine man named Ken. And now one part I love is because the man X-O Manowar, Arik, has a cut on him, that the man Ken goes up to him and feels him. And he's like, this man touches me like he's a woman or something along those lines. He feels like a woman. But Ken actually becomes like a friend to Arik. Helps him out, lets him stay at his place. He even has him all come take a bath. And Arik does not really know what's going on.
All these scents and oils. He must be a wizard.
Yes, he believes this man is a wizard. But yes, he gives him, I believe all that parts. That was funny. I liked it. They say, yeah, giving him soaps and things. He must be a wizard. But eventually, Ken kind of turns. We find that he was kind of setting up Arik to get captured. So that there's forgetting their names. But I know Lydia was a bad lady. I forget what company she worked.
The funniest part was Lydia was the only name I remembered. So thank you for reminding me. That and Ken.
Yeah, well, so Lydia and all these bad people, they go after Arik. But before Arik can leave, I like when he gives Ken a hug, and he suddenly narrates, and he's like, he's one of those men who likes men. But he still gives him a hug, and then Ken says, I'm sorry, they're coming after you. And then there's a big shootout, and it's not just these bad people. Those big evil bugs are back, and they're shooting, and it gets violent, and we have a big battle. And might I say that Ken even gets his arm shot, and it gets bloody, it gets violent, and it's very entertaining. But I will end it there. If you want to know more, feel free to check out X-O Manowar, issue #1 yourself.
All right, Sonny, what's your grade?
Yes,
Now
I'm
get onto the
curious about
grade.
this.
So like I said in the beginning, I was a little thrown off with just like the bugs and always it's just a random story, just fighting bugs. He's kind of like a Tarzan, but then he came to Earth, and I really started to enjoy the story. With he got close to that Mura, he met Ken. His relationship, his friendship with Ken was probably even I think the most entertaining part that I really liked. It gave me a lot of laughs, and then it made me see like maybe he even like at the part when he's like he's a man who likes men. He's one of those men who likes men. But
It will bring him great reward.
Yeah, but I'm like, maybe I could see it like growing, being a good friendship. Like it's something different, especially for the time. You didn't have many characters like Ken in there, and then like the battle at the end, I really liked it. I was surprised by some of the violence in the story, but it was a pleasant surprise. It can get very violent, and it was entertaining. And Tim, I gotta say, you got a new X-O Manowar has a new fan in Sonny Kruger. And I give it a 9.2 because I really enjoyed it, and I want to read more of X-O Manowar.
Sonny, you and I are gonna talk after the show is over, and we'll talk all about X-O Manowar.
I quit.
Jamie, tell us why you want to see a series of Man of War and movies and merch and all that.
Okay.
Here we go.
Sit back, relax, and let's do it.
That's my line.
Yeah, because we need that after you gave me this horrendous.
Oh my god. I've been waiting all episode for you to do this.
Okay. So Sonny, I do agree with some of your aspects on there. I like the relationship between Arik and Ken because it just made me laugh and go, why is this even a plot point? But even from the beginning, I do like the fact sometimes when you just start right into something that you don't understand. But it shouldn't be the whole book. To me, it was an issue of the first off, Arik's never drawn the same. If you look through the whole book, he never looks the exact same as the last panel. That bothered me from the very start. Like I said, with everything that happened, so the beginning where he's fighting and then he gets a suit and then everything's a hard skin or a light skin or
soft skin.
I need a hard skin.
I need a hard skin right now. First off, no, you don't. That would be for
wear
you
this hard skin.
What
did you say about him and Ken?
I said that hard skin's for him and Ken.
Oh my god.
He has a soft skin the rest of the comic, but no,
he does have a woman's touch though. He did say that.
Yes. He's wearing a ring like he's a lantern for some reason because it talks to him and lets him know where to go and basically is a GPS for him. He can't speak, but you can read his thoughts, which doesn't sit well with me. If a character can't speak out to the other character for dialogue, why would we be receptive to him? Yes. Why would we be receptive to Burr means, well, this guy's really feminine and I think he's a wizard. No, he said Burr. I'm sorry. Aside from most of that, like there's nothing that grabbed me. I read this issue probably 3 to 4 times. I got halfway through what I thought was halfway through and I'm on like page 3 or 4. And I'm like, why am I still reading this again? I couldn't find anything I really enjoyed about it. It was probably the first time I ever stopped and went, okay, I'm gonna put this back down. Like,
wow.
I did see some good in it. I think that there was some structure near the end when he actually found his suit to carry on to why he's using this and what could be next potentially. I don't understand why the one arachnid alien thing was saying that she didn't suck his juice. So now she's dead. So that kind of bothered me a little bit because we go from hard skin to sucking juices. I got questions. And I'm saying that you can look in the book. It says it. So
yes,
the whole book from beginning to end, I was not impressed throughout the whole thing. If you guys
to cry, man,
he's bringing me to tears.
Yeah. And I'm normally the guy, like if you guys watch a pre-show, I read literally 6 issues today. I'm averaging 4 issues a day. I don't stop reading. It doesn't matter how bad it gets, but this is the first time I want to actually put a book down. I do read a lot of older uh, issues. Sonny gives us stuff from 73 and
Very
I'm
true.
raising it, so 90s doesn't bother me, but that didn't feel like 90s art to me. And it didn't feel like a 90s story. It felt like someone just went, well, we tried. And then it just became something because maybe they added more context to it. Maybe there was more of a foundation to it. But this first issue, if I was to recommend it to somebody, I would tell them not to even use it as toilet paper.
What were you saying about that? If you were to call somebody Manowar or refer to them as, I think in the pre-show you said it. What did you say?
If I say I like somebody as much as I do X-O Manowar number 1, they don't even deserve to be around.
Yes, that's what I said during the pre-show, I believe. So writing, I give it a solid 5 because of the fact that
That's fair, though. That's fair.
It wasn't, how can I put it? It wasn't, it had structure near the end. It had none at the beginning. And I can't stand that you have a character that can't speak out loud, but you can read his thoughts. That bothers me. If they did something where it's like, okay, the ring determined what he was saying, understandable, but there's no context behind that to understand why we could understand him, but the other characters can't. It's like a Deadpool thing. Like when he's breaking the fourth wall, that's what it felt like the entire time without any knowledge of breaking the fourth wall.
Look who's talking.
Yes.
Yeah, good, great. Can't talk.
Yes.
Bruce Willis is
the voice. But that's the same thing. Like that's why I can't connect with it. At least with like you were saying, like look who's talking. You kind of know, okay, it's the baby, but we don't know what language he's trying to even potentially talk. They call him what is it, primitive, isn't it? Throughout the whole book.
Yeah.
Okay. Like I said, at the end there was some structure, but as for the art, when I saw Barry Windsor Smith's name on this, I almost lost it because I thought it was the art, but then come to find out it was just layouts. And whoever was doing the coloring, obviously they did a little bit different each panel because nothing looked the same to me. Every time you saw Arik, he looked a little bit different each time. Where at least like if you look at certain comics, character consistency kind of says the same. I feel like his features kind of changed as I was reading it. And that's what bothered me more than anything, especially if you take it from the very beginning where he's having that battle. And then you get to the point even where the girls of the night were talking to him. He looks different.
Was even before he shaved his beard off too.
Yes.
Yeah.
So just him being the same person, but in different panels looking different does not feel right to me.
Maybe falling to earth, like the wind, like
pushed his face
his
up.
Bone structure. And then when he shaved, his bone structure changed again.
So what's your overall then?
So 5 for writing, 4 for the art.
Yeah.
I'm giving it a 4.5.
4.5 out of 10.
Yeah.
Okay.
New lows all around this episode.
Yeah.
Like and like I said, it's not like I said, it could be Sonny. You gave it what, 9.2?
9.2.
9.2.
All our opinions.
Dude, that's awesome because of the fact that you might have saw something, like we could talk after the episode, but you might have saw something that you really enjoyed. Hey, look at it from my perspective. This is why I thought it. And my perspective could change reading it. I don't know. Probably not, but at this rate, if I had a chance to check out issue 2, I'd give it at least 2 more issues. If I was going to say, if anyone asked me, hey, Jamie, what do you think of X-O Manowar? Try 4 issues. I wouldn't recommend it, but if you try 4 issues and you like it, go on. If you didn't like the first issue and you didn't like the up to 4, it's not your cup of tea.
Fair enough.
Okay, so we're high
Youngbloods is better.
Okay, so let me go ahead and even this out a little bit. So Jamie, go into some of your criticisms about the book, colors specifically. That was a big problem with Valiant back in the day. Their colors were just not near as good as what this looks like right here. And this is even one page from the issue itself. But I think this is after remastered coloring. Yeah, exactly. The coloring was a big issue with Valiant titles back in the day, and the reason why it felt like an older story printed in the modern days because they had artists that were further along in their careers, excuse me, toward the end of their careers and things like that, and you had writers that were older writers and things like that, and they still were kind of stuck in a format from from before.
Right.
So that's why it has that kind of feel to it. But with how I feel about this book, I enjoyed the book when it came out. I loved it. This was a popular title for myself and some of my friends. Not everybody liked it. And when the book starts, you're kind of thrown in the middle. And I get that how that can be confusing. That was confusing for me too, reading it.
I think that was probably one of the better instances because I do like that where you don't know what's going on and you have to progressively find out, but we never really progressively found out.
Exactly. And I agree with you on that. But to kind of turn that around a little bit, this is how it felt to me as I read the story. It was like reading the same story from two different perspectives. And I thought that was extremely creative because as the story is going on, we're seeing the story unfold in front of us in real time as far as panel by panel goes. Arik is telling the story from his perspective, which is why we only get his thought boxes and things like that. So how he processes it and how he sees it. But then you have what's taking place around him and in front of him, and we get to experience that, the actual story that's going on. So we get Arik's interpretation of what's happening at the same time that the main story itself is progressing. I thought that was immensely creative, and I wonder who came up with that, Jim Shooter or Steve Englehart, and whoever did, I want to shake their hand because I haven't read a book like that in a while. And even though I read this back in the 90s when it came out, I had the 5-issue trade that Valiant put out, and I just read it again today. It still blows me away reading it like that, and that's an aspect that I thoroughly enjoy. So the writing gets a 7 out of 10 for me. And the only reason it stays at a 7 is because of the confusing aspect as far as like how it progresses and things like that. And like you said, Jamie, a lot of questions are not answered at all within the 31 pages that you read. And that's a little bit disheartening to me because I want to know at least some of what's going on. And we didn't get barely any of that, maybe like a smidgen, a little bit. So the writing gets a 7 out of 10. Now the artwork gets a 7.5 out of 10. Even though Barry Windsor Smith did the layouts, Jamie, we even talked about this. You can see a lot of that influence in the artwork that was done, and that was done by Bob Layton and John Holdridge. So you can see a lot of that in there. And even when we were discussing Sonny before you came on, we were having this conversation. I was like, that's Barry Windsor Smith work. And you're like, no, it's not. I was like, dude, look at here. And you can see in these parts, and you can see aspects of Windsor Smith's work. And come to find out, like you said, he just did the layout. So he storyboarded the issue, which is still cool, but it's not as cool as having Barry Windsor Smith do all of it, because his work is iconic, it's epic, it's amazing. But even with that, with the combination of BWS and Bob Layton and John Holdridge doing all of the combined stuff, the layouts, pencils, inks, and all of that stuff, the artwork gets a 7.5 out of 10 for me. So overall, the book gets a 7.25 out of 10. So I'm kind of right in the middle there.
Yeah, right in the middle. Yeah, so we take you up, in the middle. Tim, I thought you liked this book.
That's why he recommended it.
See, sevens aren't bad to me. Sevens are really
good,
solid. Sixes
Fours aren't that bad
solid. Well, fours are on the downward spiral, so
that's just under 5.
That's very true.
But one thing in there that I had to screenshot it to make sure to bring up on the show, when he met Ken, he said he is very bird-like, like a wizard. Maybe he is the one I've been seeking.
Yep.
Bird, that's very interesting.
So there you go. Sonny, you give it a solid 9.2. Jamie gives it a 4.5, and I give it a 7.25. Now, I think it has to be said that is one of the coolest things about us reviewing books. And like you said, Jamie, each of us have our own opinions about what we find and what we like in the books. And we don't have to like everything. That's the good thing about comic books. We don't have to like it. And this gives us the platform to sit down and talk about and tell why.
Right. And like I said, it if I read, if I get to issue 2 and I'm like, you know what, I'm gonna sit down and try to read issue 2 after this and kind of progress with the story. Who knows? I might love it and come back and reevaluate issue 1, because issue 1 was the staple point of what happens throughout the rest of the series.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know because I didn't
Good
read
point.
it. You know, but we're just judging it off this first issue, and this first issue was not a ballpark home run. Now,
Right.
if it was on my pools, I'd continue it because I'm, like we said earlier, I don't take things off my pools once I start them.
Yeah.
But right now,
I
it's
think
just-
this would have tested that though.
Nah,
No, you don't think so?
I have yet to pull anything off my list.
Okay.
So
fair enough.
once I started, I don't finish. I finished it out.
Okay.
I kind of made it like a habit, so that way it's like you're not a quitter. You started it, you're gonna finish it. You know, I need to have that mentality.
All right, but there we go. Our review for X-O Manowar #1 is in the books.